President Donald Trump honestly deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for all of the work that he has done over this past week in Iran. From everything to the bombing to now a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, it's been a miracle to watch it happen. And this, of course, has really pissed off the liberal fake news media. So much so that they took to reporting on a possibly, most likely, false narrative about the entire Operation Midnight Hammer. And now they're being caught red-handed for doing so. This is going to be episode 3 of debunking liberal fake news, Operation Midnight Hammer. Satellite footage has now surfaced of some of the Iran nuclear facility bases, showcasing a before and after scenario, before the B-2 bombing run, and after, where they dropped the MOP bomb. And this isn't even the half of it, to be honest with you. Yes, you can tell a bomb has been dropped in the after photo, but the MOP bomb burrows down deep before exploding and collapses everything around it. And that's why this method of bombing was chosen for this, because the Iranians had buried their nuclear facility very deep underground, all while enriching their uranium to pursue nuclear power. Of course, after this bombing run, President Donald Trump took to a Truth Social to celebrate it. The damage done to the nuclear sites in Iran is said to be monumental. The hits were hard and accurate. Great skill was shown by our military. Thank you. And you just know that the liberal media seethes every time President Donald Trump gets to celebrate another win in his current administration. How many wins has he had? I've lost count, and so has the liberal media, and that just enrages them. So of course, as soon as they could, they begun weaving and spinning their fake narrative about the Iran bombing run, pretty much outright implying that the bombing run had failed, all while citing that they had credible sources telling them this.
3 sources tell CNN that according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment, the U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely only set it back a few months.
That's right. So this is an assessment that actually is out from the Defense Intelligence Agency. That is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it was based on a battle damage assessment conducted by U.S. CENTCOM after the strikes, according to one of the sources.
And while they were claiming that this was coming from a great source on the inside, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth wasn't having any of it. He wound up taking to a press conference to inform everyone that this was a preliminary, low-estimate report deliberately made as such. On top of that, he wound up outright calling them the fake news media and informing them of the circumstances in general, how an entire mountain had essentially collapsed on the nuclear facility, telling them that if they wanted to see the damage for themselves, they should get a shovel and start digging.
There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons, to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel and go really deep, because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. And somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to say, oh, with low confidence, we think maybe it's moderate. Those that dropped the bombs precisely in the right place know exactly what happened when that exploded. And you know who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
President Donald Trump also wasn't happy at all with the fake news media, taking to Truth Social saying this: "We just caught the failing New York Times working with fake news CNN, cheating again. They tried to demean the great work our B-2 pilots did, and they were wrong in doing so. These reporters are just bad and sick people. You would think they would be proud of the great success we had, instead of trying to always make our country look bad. Total obliteration. I'm not supposed to say it." I have too much fun doing that Trump accent. But the point is, while our own government, our own intelligence, our own military, top officials in the Trump administration, and President Trump himself were telling us that it was complete obliteration and a complete success, you had CNN, New York Times, and others saying, no, don't believe them. Don't believe the ones who carried out this operation. Don't even believe the pilots of the B-2 bombers themselves. This was a complete failure, and we've only set Iran back by maybe 3 or 4 months. As if we should trust the fake news media over our elected officials and the people on the inside actually carrying out the operation. And so what we saw with CNN was they in fact doubled down.
The secretary took real issue and seemed very upset about it not being stated that there was low confidence stated in this DIA assessment. It's also in CNN reporting, including this: the final U.S. military battle damage assessment by the DIA could take days or even weeks to complete. Multiple sources familiar with the Pentagon's process told CNN.
And just notice the cockiness and the condescending vibe of that anchor on the right while the report is being given. Just look, that's right here in the report. Yeah, it's just utterly disgusting. This is what we're dealing with when it comes to liberal anchors. Absolutely gross. The funny thing is, moments after they double down right there, they get a very credible source on their program who basically tells them, hey, listen, reports have just come in moments ago, and it turns out Operation Midnight was a complete success, and it was probably total obliteration. Take a listen.
We now know from that briefing, first time we know it, is that as it was designed, as these massive ordnance penetrators with significant computer software engineering went directly down to those 3 ventilator shafts, specifically as designed. And until you actually do it, you never know if it's going to work. It worked. It seems to have worked flawlessly. That is very important information. I think from what I've seen, the 20,000 centrifuges, you had about 17,000 in the Natanz, about 3,000 in Fordo, they are all completely destroyed. I am very confident those centrifuges are gone. The Israelis destroyed the centrifuge manufacturing production facilities that we know of. Isfahan, which is the conversion facility, key part of the fuel cycle, also appears to have been destroyed. So if you add it up from what we're seeing, massive catastrophic setback for Iran's program. The term of art, obliterated, destroyed, I kind of step out of that. So I didn't know that. I couldn't have confirmed that 24 hours ago. I now know those 3 ventilator shafts, they went down there and it worked. That's new. And that means probably Fordo is rendered inoperable for the foreseeable future, probably forever.
And just to savor the moment, I just want to re-highlight a small second of that clip where that news reporter, that condescending one on the right, was squirming at this news. Notice how uncomfortable these anchors look while this report is coming in. They're not happy America succeeded. They're mad that their narrative just blew up in their face and they look foolish yet again. And so what was the fallout from all of this? Well, President Donald Trump eloquently took to Truth Social to inform us of what possibly will be happening with these news organizations for reporting this nonsense false narrative. Fake news CNN is so disgusting and incompetent. Some of the dumbest anchors in the business. Rumor is that the failing New York Times and fake news CNN will be firing the reporters who made up the fake stories on the Iran nuclear sites because they got it so wrong. Let's see what happens. And it's just been beautiful to watch the liberal fake news media be proven that they are once again fake news and that they once again spin their own narratives to fit their own agendas. Now, of course, they're completely walking this all back in this very recent clip. However, not without also implying that it's President Trump's fault. He oversimplified the situation, and we just felt we needed to explain it better. And in doing so, well, it appears we reported wrong. Take a listen to how this anchor spins that.
So much more reporting to do on this topic. This is a very complex matter, even though Trump tried to make it sound simple on Saturday night. It's really important to note what CNN did not report. CNN did not report that this mission was a failure. Far from it. It may have turned out to be a tremendous success. We just don't know all the facts yet, and neither does the U.S. government.
The blame game. It's all the liberals know how to play, especially when they've been proven wrong. Just deflect and blame. It's Trump's fault we got it wrong. He should have told us. Okay, whatever. To that, Trump only has one message for them.
Oh, shut up, silly woman.
I hope you enjoyed episode 3 of Debunking Liberal Fake News Media. What a disaster this all was. But thankfully, it was only a disaster for the fake news media. Glory to America, and God bless President Trump. God bless America as well. Subscribe to American Advocates for more content like this.